National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Very good evening and a warm welcome to the National News broadcast. Coming to you live from the National News Studio, I am Lakshitendra Singh, and joining me tonight is Sharifa Tahir.
Cabinet of Ministers reaches a policy agreement over the Public Council mechanism. Sri Lanka to remain a middle-income country, government announces. UN Development Programme says Sri Lanka is among 54 countries that need urgent debt relief. It has been revealed that endangering children in the guise of peaceful protests is a punishable offence before the law. President says a country's security is not only military, but economic and food security as well. Driving license fees increased, fees of other services revised. White fly spread affects coconut and king coconut cultivations in the western province. Malaysian parliament has been dissolved.
We move on to those and other stories in detail now. The Cabinet of Ministers have reached an agreement on principle to move forward with Jana Sabha or People's Council initiative with an aim of strengthening the participatory democracy, the process of government policy making.
A team of experts, including former Parliamentary Speaker Karu Jayasuriya and senior journalist Victor Ivan, made a comprehensive briefing on Jana Sabha initiative to the Cabinet of Ministers. Yesterday, the Parliament of Sri Lanka was established to ensure the sovereignty of the nation through representative democracy. The structure of the provincial councils and local government institutions has also been formulated with that aim. However, there was a public debate which became a very prominent social topic recently on a separate body to ensure a different democratic structure to strengthen the participatory democracy. This topic was under discussion on various occasions since the independence of Sri Lanka. It was widely discussed during the process of village development activities. It was stressed that there must be a mechanism to make decisions on village development activities with the participation of villagers. Jana Sabha or People's Council became a hot topic recently as it was widely discussed during the People's Struggle movement earlier this year. The concept of Jana Sabha was introduced with an aim to strengthen the true voice of the ordinary people. Under this concept, there will be an opportunity to ensure the people's participation in the process of government policy making and implementation. There are 4 components that have been identified under the concept of Jana Sabha. They are National Jana Sabha Secretariat, Gramiya Jana Sabha or Rural People's Council, Pradeshya Sabha, Jana Sabha Management Committee and Jatika Mahajana Sabha or National People's Council. Under the concept of Gramiya Jana Sabha, people who live within a Grama Seva division will be able to make their own decisions on village development activities. A Rural People's Council will be established to cover 500 families in a certain area. Therefore, 14,022 rural people's councils will be established to cover the whole island. A Jana Sabha secretary will be appointed to maintain a rural people's council. Existing development officers will be assigned as a Jana Sabha secretary, and villagers over 16 years will be eligible to take part in the Rural People's Council. A Pradeshya Sabha Management Committee will cover the Rural People's Councils within a divisional secretariat. A monthly meeting between Divisional Secretary, other senior government officials and all Jana Sabha chairpersons will be convened to discuss the important matters related to the area. During an emergency, Divisional Secretaries will be given an authority to convene such a meeting. Under the concept of National People's Council, more wider mechanism will be introduced to strengthen the Jana Sabha concept. Total number of members of the National People's Council will be 100. 75 of them will represent the Rural People's Council and 25 will be selected on criteria of professionalism, academia, civil activists, women and youth representatives. The National People's Council will hold its meeting on the last week of every month, and they can also be convened on emergency meetings to address emergency situations. The chairman of the National People's Council will be an honorary post, and the appointment of the chairperson will be conducted by a parliamentary committee. The term of the chairperson will be limited to a 3-year period.
The government stated that Sri Lanka will remain a middle-income country. Sri Lanka no longer qualifies for International Bank for Reconstruction and Development loans due to a downgrade of the country's credit rating. Therefore, the Cabinet approved a proposal yesterday to request the World Bank to grant the country eligibility to obtain loans offered by the International Development Association. This is with the aim of obtaining concessionary funding from the International Development Association. World Bank helped the world's Development Program has named Sri Lanka among the countries at the most immediate risk of facing a rapidly deepening debt crisis.
The UNDP warned that dozens of developing nations were facing a rapidly deepening debt crisis and that the risks of inaction are dire. The United Nations Development Programme in its latest report has indicated that cascading global crises have left 54 countries, home to more than half of the world's poorest people, in dire need of debt relief. The countries at the most immediate risk are Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Tunisia, Chad and Zambia. The poor, indebted countries are facing converging economic pressures and many find it impossible to pay back their debt or access new financing. UNDP Chief Achim Steiner said that without immediate relief, at least 54 countries would see rising poverty levels, and desperately needed investment in climate adaptation and mitigation will not be proceeded ahead. The agency's report, published ahead of meetings of the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank and also of G20 finance ministers in Washington, highlighted the need for swift action. He added that crisis is intensifying and threatening to spill over into an entrenched development crisis across dozens of countries across the world. The UN agency said debt troubles had been brewing in many of the affected countries long before the COVID-19 pandemic hit. According to available data, 46 of the 54 countries had amassed public debt totaling $782 billion in 2020, the report said. Argentina, Ukraine and Venezuela alone account for more than a third of that amount. The situation is deteriorating rapidly, with 19 of the developing countries now effectively shut out of the lending market, 10 more than at the start of the year. President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasizes that a country's security is not only ensured militarily, but is also secured through food and economic security.
The President said this during the Progress Review meeting of the National Food Security and Nutrition Assurance Program held at the Presidential Secretariat this morning. Emphasizing that urgent measures should be taken to provide the country with fuel and food, the President said that if necessary, he could intervene through state security regulations. The President also noted that if the implementation of the Food Security and Nutrition Assurance Program is hampered due to the collapse of the state machinery, he is ready to intervene at any moment to resolve these issues. President Ranil Wickremesinghe also pointed out the need to modernize agriculture and enact legislation on food security through this program. The multi-sectoral joint mechanism to empower rural economic revitalization centers to ensure food security and nutrition was recently implemented across the island under the theme "No citizen should be allowed to starve due to lack of food" on the directives of President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Also, the progress of the program at the district level was examined during this discussion, and it was stated that rural economic revitalization committees have been established at the village level in all districts, and programs have been initiated to ensure food security and nutrition. Discussions also centered on the issues that could arise during the cultivation process in the relevant districts, while special attention was placed on the supply of fertilizer, land issues, unavailability of seeds and the crop damage caused by wild animals. Having paid attention to the progress presented by the district secretaries about the implementation of the program in each district, the President informed the officials to identify separately the crop cultivations done at the rural level to create food security and to identify the areas suffering from food shortages and submit a report on the matter immediately. Based on this information, the President also directed the officials to implement a food bank and community kitchen programs to cover every district under the leadership of the district secretaries. Further, the President instructed the relevant departments to continue implementing this program until 2023, mustering the contribution of all the government officials, armed forces, civil defense force, government and non-governmental organizations to ensure the nutritional needs of the people and to prepare for the world economic crisis that may occur in the future through this program. The President further stated that after 3 weeks, a report on the progress of this program should be sent to the Cabinet every week.
The attention of the government has been directed to reduce the number of members currently in the local government institutions. Cabinet spokesman Minister Bandulu Gunawardena made these remarks while speaking at the media briefing held to announce the cabinet decisions today. Minister Bandulu Gunawardena said that the main focus of the government is to reduce the high cost of maintaining the local government institutions. Therefore, a proposal has been put forward to reduce the current number of 8,000 local government members to 4,000. At the same time, the sole power currently vested with the chairman of the local government institutions will be handed over to a committee. The proposals on decision-making process will be directed to a parliamentary select committee, and if necessary, those proposals will be ratified by a referendum, the minister said. The minister also made remarks over the allegation levelled by a newspaper for influencing mass media. Minister Bandulu Gunawardena said that he will tender his resignation to the President if any allegation regarding the influencing of the media ministry officials, the chairman or the Director General of the National Television, authorities of the Independent Television Network or Lake House is proven.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe has issued instructions to streamline the process of responding to letters, emails and phone calls addressed to government institutions. The President has focused his attention on streamlining and expediting the process of responding to letters, emails and phone calls by the public instead of them having to waste their time, effort and money by having to come to these institutions personally to attend to their requirements. Accordingly, a special letter signed by the Secretary of the Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government, including provisions, in replying to letters, emails and telephone calls addressed to the government institutions, has been sent to all Ministry Secretaries, Provincial Chief Secretaries and Heads of Departments. Priority should be given to general letters from the public to government institutions, and in case final replies cannot be sent immediately, an interim reply stating that the letter has been received should be sent within 1 week and a final reply should be sent within 4 weeks. In addition, for all official letters, the direct telephone number, fax number and email address of the staff officer in charge of the subject should be mentioned below the signature of the relevant letter when sending reply letters. Emails sent to public email addresses of relevant officers should be checked daily and a specific officer should be assigned for the purpose. Emails to staff officers' email addresses should be checked daily. Efforts should be made to respond to emails the same day, and if the relevant officer cannot answer them on the same day, they should send a reply stating that the letter was received and the time required to respond to it. In the same way, arrangements should be made to provide answers to the inquiry within a reasonable time or before the notified date. All phone calls to the office should be answered, and if there are organizations or departments that receive many phone calls, a specific officer should be assigned to respond to those calls. The relevant officer appointed to respond to these calls should make a note of the caller's name, the purpose of the call and contact details on which a response could be forwarded. In instances where an immediate response cannot be given, the relevant staff officers or officers in charge should take steps to respond to the caller's query within a reasonable time frame. Coconut Research Institute says a rapid spread of a white fly threat persists surrounding coconut and king coconut plantations in the Western Province. Farmers have indicated a decline in related product harvest due to this threat.
This disease was first detected from Kegol district in 2019. Coconut Research Institute has said that an increased whitefly population can be observed surrounding coconut and king coconut plantations in Colombo, Gampaha and Kaluthara districts at present. Coconut and king coconut trees under all age categories have been infected with the disease. The farmers have requested the government to take prompt measures to mitigate the damages caused on the cultivations due to this threat. Accordingly, awareness programs are underway to educate farmers regarding the whitefly threat. Deputy Director of Coconut Research Institute Naini Arachage said that the spread can be observed in urban areas in the western province. She pointed out the difficulties in mitigating the spread of the disease in urban settings with pesticides. Therefore, she said that other mechanisms are in place to control the spread. She further said that traps will also be used to lure the whitefly species.
අපි කහපාට උගුලක් ඒ කියන්නේ පොලිතීන් සහ ග්‍රීස් භාවිතා කරලා උගුලක් නිර්දේශ කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම තමයි අපි වගාකරුවන්ගෙන් ඉල්ලා සිටිනවා අඩුම වශයෙන් කෘමිනාශක හෝ කොහොම තෙල් මිශ්‍රණය පාවිච්චි කරන්න අපහසු වගාකරුවන් ඉන්නවා නම් අඩුම ගානේ සබම් කුඩු වතුරේ දිය කරලා ඒකවත් ඉහින්න කියන එක අපි දැනට අපි නිර්දේශ කරලා තියෙනවා.
Chairman of the Coconut Research Institute, Dr. Sarangalha Peruma, said that negotiations are underway with friendly nations to find long-term solutions for the whitefly threat in the country. He further indicated that researchers are being conducted with neighboring countries over treatment purposes. President's Counsel UR De Silva points out that endangering children in the guise of peaceful protests is a punishable offence before the law.
He emphasized that an immediate inquiry should be carried out to determine whether this protest was based on financial gains or an act of a certain organized group. A group of activists convened at Golfers Green on Sunday with an aim of commemorating the 6-month anniversary of the struggle movement and the activists who demised during the period. Police accused that the group of activists obstructed their duties with unruly behavior. Also, it was seen that the children were used as shields during the protest. Members of Nava Janata Peramuna made a complaint over this issue with the Child Protection Authority today and requested to conduct an investigation in this regard.
Charges pertaining to the issuance of a new driving license and other necessary services have been revised. The relevant Gazette notification regarding the revision of charges will be effective from the 10th of October. Accordingly, the fee charged to issue a new driving license for one vehicle class under the normal services will be at 2,500 rupees. The Gazette notification has indicated that 3,500 rupees will be charged to issue a new driving license under the one-day service. The fee charged to issue a new driving license for multiple vehicle classes under the normal services will be at 3,500 rupees, while 4,500 rupees will be charged for the one-day service. The fee to issue a duplicate of a driving license due to loss of the driving license will be 7,800 rupees, and under the one-day service the respective fee will be at 9,000 rupees. The fee to change the particulars of a driving license under the normal service will be at 3,300 rupees, while 4,500 rupees will be charged under the one-day service. The renewal charges under the normal service will be at 2,800 rupees, while 4,000 rupees will be charged for the one-day service. The fee to issue a driving license to a foreign citizen will be at 25,000 rupees, and the fee under the one-day service will be 30,000 rupees. 3,000 rupees will be charged to issue an international driving permit.
In the meantime, the report containing the observations and recommendations of the Prime Minister's committee, which was appointed to investigate the cause of the frequent fires in Modara Kajimawata houses, was handed over to Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena at the Prime Minister's office, Colombo, yesterday.
Within a short period of 1.5 years, 3 fires were erupted in the Modara Kajimawata estate houses and a large number of families were displaced. The Prime Minister, who drew attention to this matter in the Colombo District Coordinating Committee, appointed this committee to investigate the cause of the fire and about the residents as well. The co-chairman of the committee, Member of Parliament Major Pradeep Undugoda and Colombo District Secretary Pradeep Yasaratna were present on this occasion. The committee that met last week investigated the ownership of the house, its current users, how the residents got there, the future measures to be taken and the reasons for the recent fires. The final report containing the observations and recommendations prepared accordingly was handed over to the Prime Minister.
The Sri Lanka Customs have taken 2 Hummer vehicles and 4 containers with brass, copper and galvanized iron pipes imported into the country and prepared to be exported illegally into custody yesterday. These items were discovered during an emergency inspection by State Minister of Finance Ranjit Siyabalapitiya at the Sri Lanka Customs yesterday following a tip-off. 5 containers full of goods classified under scrap paper were opened in front of the State Minister. When the containers were opened, the State Minister and the officials found 4 of the containers were loaded with brass, copper and galvanized iron pipes, which are on the export ban list. Only 1 container, which was declared genuinely containing scrap paper, had the original consignment within. The minister said that it was a crime to export brass, copper and galvanized iron pipes through illegal means, as those are essential raw materials for the local industrialists. The 2 Hummers which were imported illegally were found in another container during this inspection. The State Minister instructed to disclose the true value of the vehicles to the public.
The Cabinet of Ministers granted approval to extend one-time payment for the welfare of the families of missing persons. Accordingly, the families of the missing persons will receive an increased amount of 200,000 rupees as compensation. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the resolution submitted by Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa to ignore the requirement of obtaining the certificate of missing if the Compensation Secretariat has confirmed that the relevant person is missing, and to pay an increased amount of 200,000 rupees as compensation. Cabinet approval was granted for the road reconstruction project Suryakanda Rakwana section of the Deniyaya Madampe Road in Galle. A loan agreement has been entered into with the OPEC Fund for International Development for the reconstruction of the road section. Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal presented by Minister Bandula Gunawardena to award the contract package under the Cabinet authority to KDA Veerasinghe and Private Limited upon the recommendation of Cabinet-appointed Standing Procurement Committee. It has been identified that 1 more tug vessel of 80-ton capacity should be procured for future operations. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal presented by Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation to take necessary steps for the procurement of the tug vessel following international competitive bidding process. In the meantime, the Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal presented by Minister Nimal Siripala de Silva to award the relevant contract for the automated crew scheduling and resource management system for Sri Lankan Airlines to CAE Flight Services USA Incorporated Company for a period of 5 years, as recommended by the Cabinet-appointed Standing Procurement Committee. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal presented by Minister Susil Premjayant to assign the contract to the Central Engineering Consultancy Bureau. Until the end of November 2021, it has not been possible to commence the construction work assigned to the Korean International Cooperation Agency due to various reasons. Korean International Cooperation Agency has agreed to assign these construction works to Central Engineering Consultancy Bureau as a direct contract. Stay tuned with us. News from overseas coming your way after this short break.
Prima hot and spicy cricket. KTM his tanak sashi packet to angka satahan kara. Visituna hatalis SMS karan. Rupiah 2,50,000 mudal tiagi athulu tawat watina tagi dinapata dinaganna. November 30 dakwa pamana.
Prima Kotumi fun tamai.
Welcome back. We take a look at Malaysia as a first overseas news item, where the Malaysian Prime Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob announced yesterday that Parliament will be dissolved, paving the way for general elections that are expected to be held in early November. The elections would come 9 months before Parliament's term expires, following calls for early polls from Ismail's United Malays National Organisation. United Malays National Organisation, the biggest party in the ruling coalition, was feuding with its allies and is aiming for a big win on its own. Malaysian Prime Minister said that he met Sunday with King Sultan Abdullah Sultan Ahmad Shah, who consented to the dissolution. He said he decided to call early polls amid criticism over the legitimacy of his government, the third since 2018 polls. The Election Commission is expected to meet within the week to announce a date for the vote, which must be held within 60 days from Parliament's dissolution. It is likely to be held early November before the year-end monsoon season that often brings devastating floods.
Moving on to more international stories, Ben Bernanke, who led the U.S. Central Bank during the 2008 financial crisis, is one of 3 recipients of this year's Nobel Prize in Economics. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences said it was recognizing the trio for research that had changed the understanding of financial crisis. The work focused on the importance of avoiding runs on banks. The Academy also said the insights have improved the ability to avoid both serious crises and expensive bailouts. Mr. Bernanke's research showed how bank runs and had prolonged the Great Depression in the 1930s. He later applied some of those lessons during his time at the U.S. Federal Reserve, which he led from 2006 to 2014. When the financial crisis hit, he pushed the Federal Reserve to intervene aggressively, slashing interest rates and helping to organize bailouts of some of America's biggest banks, moves that were politically controversial.
இப்படி பண்றிடா இப்படி அல்பங்கள் Prima Kotumi Fantamai.
News. The ICC World T20 Championship is just around the corner. Now, Sri Lanka secured victory against Zimbabwe in their very first warm-up match today, played in the World T20 Championship. The match was played at the Melbourne Cricket Stadium in Australia.
Batting first, Sri Lanka was able to score 188 runs with the loss of 5 wickets. Kusal Mendis scored 54 runs while Wanindu Hasaranga scored 37. Zimbabwe in response managed to gather only 155 runs in their innings, and accordingly, Sri Lanka secured a 33-run victory in the match.
Advancing, hitting down the ground, very on again, and hit, and again. Oh, that's gone straight up in the air. This will be caught. Yeah. Tries to hit that one over the grandstand. We'll finish 12 not out, Burl 12 not out. Zimbabwe's total 5 for 150.
Sri Lanka women's team took part in the final match of the preliminary rounds of the Asia Cup T20 series. Accordingly, Sri Lanka played against Pakistan and Pakistan secured a 5-wicket victory in the match. Batting first, Sri Lanka managed to score 112 runs for their innings. Jamari Atapattu scored 41 for Sri Lanka. Pakistan in response chased down the target in the 18th over to secure the win.
இப்படி பண்றிடா இப்படி அல்பங்கள் Prima Kotumi Fantamai.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's news bulletin. We hope you join us tomorrow for more of the very latest. Until then, stay safe and good night.
Good night.
நேத்ரா டிவி நேசத்தின் நெருக்கம்.
you know 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 I must let you know 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 I must let you know 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 근데 전혀 안 통해 눈빛을 보내 눈치를 주네 근데 못 알아듣네 답답해서 미치겠다 정말 왜 그런지 모르겠다 정말 다시 한번 일을 냈어 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 눈짓도 손짓도 어떤 표정도 소용이 없네 하나도 안 통해 눈치도 눈치도 전혀 없나봐 더 이상 어떻게 내 맘을 표현해 언제선가는 네가 좋아 지기 싫어 바보야 왜 이렇게도 내 맘을 몰라 언제까지 이렇게 둔하게 내 친구로만 대할래 내가 원하는 건 그게 아닌데 시그널 보내 시그널 보내 찌릿 난 너를 원해 난 너를 원해 왜 반응이 없니 만나는 마다 말할 때마다 찌릿 기다리잖아 다 보이잖아 왜 알지 못하니 Trying to let you know 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 I must let you know 사인을 보내 시그널 보내 널 보면 웃으면 알아채야지 오늘만 몇 번째 널 보며 웃는데